I never bought into the Chicago Bears. I picked Philadelphia to win this weekend. All year long, I was getting hate mail and hate tweets and all stuff on my social media. You don't get it. And I thought, blah, blah, blah. Of course, Chicago fans love their team. I never bought into it. I thought it was a college offense. I thought it was a lot of smoke and mirrors. I called Matt Nagy, the head coach of the Bears, David Copperfield. Look over here, and there's the quarter. And, I just didn't buy into it. So I don't have a problem with them being out of the playoffs because my question is, they shouldn't be a Super Bowl team. We don't want our Super Bowl champ to be the model where your 10 best players are all on defense. According to Pro Football Focus, and I think that's a very good site, Chris Collinsworth owns some of that, the 10 highest graded players for the Bears are all on defense. Totally unbalanced. You want that to be the model that wins in football? Do you think the NBA would be in a better spot today if the Golden State Warriors dynasty didn't have Durant, Steph, Klay Thompson, Boogie Cousins? No. It had 4 Dennis Rodmans who roughed you up, couldn't shoot, rebounded really well, and were great defensive players. There's a reason why leagues modify rules to help offense, because it's hard to score. Even Michael Jordan shot only 50%. It's hard to hit a baseball. It's hard to score in football. New England is the current dynasty. They do everything well. They're totally balanced. Their coaching is excellent. Their quarterback is excellent. They always have a good running game. They always have an efficient passing game. They have a situational pass rush, but their defense, once again, is top 10 in the league. Their special teams are excellent. They're really good at home, but not terrible on the road. They do everything well. So football is being rewarded by a team that values everything and can do everything pretty well. The Bears do some things like defense great and have a college quarterback. You don't want that. That shouldn't be the model of what works. If I was a commissioner in baseball, I'd make it easier to hit a baseball. If I was a commissioner in basketball or football, I'd make it easier to score. Do you know what the average NFL score was this year? And remember, this is the big offensive year, right? This was the year that all offense, no defense. The average NFL score was 26-23. We should be helping the offense. And by the way, most of the teams that are left, Indianapolis, New England, Saints, Eagles, Chargers, they play offense and defense. Dallas heavily leans on defense, but at least they do have some offensive stars like Zeke, Zach Martin, Amari Cooper. Kansas City leans heavily on offense, but they have Dee Ford, they have Chris Jones, Eric Berry. They got good defensive players too. But Chicago is completely, absolutely unbalanced, and I never bought into them. I like football when coaching is rewarded, offense is rewarded, defense is rewarded, special teams are rewarded. It's nothing against this. But you do realize that Lamar Jackson and Mitch Trubisky, who were really very similar, both lost this weekend. Because the game is not built to have all your best dynamic players on one side of the football. So I have no problem with Chicago losing. By the way, the top 5 scoring defenses now are all eliminated and out of football because they didn't do enough on the offensive side. So I just never bought into Chicago. Listen, I trust my eyes on this, and I think sports for fans is better when it's artistic. It's better when hockey games are 4-3, not 1-0. Baseball games are better 7-6 with a lot of base runners. NBA games are better when Kevin Durant can score and not have somebody draped on him. And football is better when I get a 27-26 game. My team can play from behind. Baltimore can. Chicago's not very good at it. My team can play with a lead. That's New England. That's Philadelphia. That's the Rams. That's the Chargers. Kansas City and Dallas are heavily weighted to one side of the field. But the Chiefs do have some defensive stars, and the Cowboys do have some offensive stars. Chicago is 10 best players on one side of the football. I didn't lose any sleep watching them lose. I don't root for teams or against teams, but I do root for many elements of football because I love the sport being valued. That's nothing against Trent Dilfer. He's on the show next hour and the Ravens. But I don't want that to be the model of football. That was one of the most boring teams I've ever watched. Now, I also don't need my teams to be the fastest show on turf or Kansas City this year. But I never for a second bought into Chicago is the way to do it in the NFL. and they lost because, frankly, like Baltimore, they were completely unbalanced. And that's how seasons end, when you're completely unbalanced.